We move on to, and I hope this is right because this has changed from the original list, to Damian Hoffman. Please, take a seat.
Thank you.
And Damian, because I thought I was going to have trouble with the pronunciation, because what it was, you know, what have we got? We've got Michael Ostowski. Would that have been vaguely right?
He's sick, so...
He's unwell, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's why if you've got the same details that I had originally. Damian, I mean, I'm going to ask you the obvious question. What do you do except security?
Except security. Good question. So I trying to like avoid everything like outside the work, which is like made with the computer. So I'm like leaving my phone, leaving my computer, and trying to be like offline on-site like places like, for example, mountain forest. Like I would like to really keen on cycling, especially road cycling or mountain cycling. And when I saw like Slovenia, you know, mountains, this is a really good place, I think.
You brought the bike?
To do. Unfortunately, no, I didn't
Plenty
bring
for hire
it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Find the man a hire.
But maybe I'll try to rent it here, yeah? Because the scenario is really great.
It's a really popular sport here, and it looks terribly dangerous.
It looks, especially when you get, you know, the really high through the mountains, like when you go down. But I think it's safe when you are careful. This is like the same in the security.
So you don't start off going down the steepest and most complex of slopes.
Yeah, correct.
You start off going down something terribly gentle that we could all do anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
Have you ever come off? Have you ever had an accident?
Yes. So like 2 years ago, I was on some road cycling competition, totally amateur, but it was like in the mountains. So when my speed was above like 85, I was a little bit scared, like take the brakes and like do nothing, yeah, because the speed was so high, and I unfortunately like go through the trees, but it was like nice grass, so not very bad for me.
Just the color of the trousers.
Yeah, and few things may change in my bike, but it happens.
Let's hope you don't come a cropper with your presentation. Let's hope.
Okay, thank you.
It's all yours. The floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. So I am really proud that you are here. I thought that you will, go to the swimming pool or stuff like that, or to the bicycle. So I am really proud that you are here. So today's topics, this is the XDR, Extended Detection and Response. So first I have some question to you. Like, did you hear about the XDR? Like, hands up, more? Okay, so I thought that like all of the person like, take their hands up. I see that like the 50% of the audience do it. So today, this is the topic. So I would like to talk a little bit more deep dive, because what I see on the market, there's a little bit mess. I think that the good words, when you remember the introduction by Louis Security today, they said XDR buzzword. And I think this is a really good definition, really good word. Remember, like in the past, a lot of the people were saying about machine learning, like artificial intelligence, like everything was like 2.0, next generation. So you may think like XDR, this is on this planet the next buzzword, yeah? So probably some vendors like, design it, like create it, just to get more money from the products. And by today's presentation, I would like to prove it that this is not true. So let's begin from the definition. We are classical engineers, so the best way to get the definition is like to analyze the topics really complex. No, we are like simple engineers. We are like a security guys. We are like computer people. So we are trying to do the things like much easier as they can. Yeah. So what we are doing? We are typing in the Google. And the problem with typing in the definition of the XDR in the Google is that all of the vendors have their own definition. Also, the vendors which I am representing have their own definition, like our competitors. Gartner also saying about what is XDR. So let me like focus on these three words, like extended. What does it mean? For me, extended means actually that we are covering all of the vector focus. Yes, so we are covering the network, we are covering the email, we are covering the OT, and we are of course covering the endpoint side, and we are covering the server side. But not forget about cloud. And because of like this cloud initiative, like a lot of the infrastructure is going to the cloud, also the XDR approach is getting more and more popular. Detection, this is really simple. So detection, but not based only on the IOC, like IP addresses, like registry key, not only on base like MD5 or hash of the files, but also based on some interaction, on some behavior, and based on some intelligence-led thinking. And the response, we got an alert, and what happens? On previous presentation of Group IB, you've seen some nice part of the incident response. So if your company like have this as a process, as a layer of the organization, if it's like written in the processor, this is also really important, like what to do after the alert. Like block the attack in the first phase, or maybe no. Or maybe just wait, maybe get some more IOC, like to get, for example, the correlation, like to get the geolocation of this attacker. But you have to wait, for example, for the connection to CNC. This is always like important question. And these things, I think, that for you will be like most valuable like for today. Yeah, I would like to like remember some of them and maybe analyze in your organization, like is like those issues, like those problems are really facing like your organization, like your team. The big, I think, challenge right now, and there was some research lab last year, and they done some kind of a survey for the companies which are above 1,000 of the people, 1,000 of the users. And what they like discover is that average number of the tools for each organization, it's about 31. So like think about 31 different console, 31 different like administrator privileges, 31 different people who are able like to log in and get some kind of the security data. So this is a real challenge. And the second, I think, really nice like experience. So the same like group asked the IT director, what are the reasons for the people, especially for the IT and security, that they are leaving their job? And you know, I am from East Europe, so my first thinking was money. Of course, they don't earn like much money, so probably they change the job. And I see in my customer, also in my SOC, which I was responsible in the past, that a lot of the people like changing the job. And do you know what was like the first answer for the top? The administrator and the like SOC and IT guys are getting bored into their work. So like each day they are getting the same screen, like copying IP addresses somewhere, like copying the same data and doing the same. And they said that this is the reason for changing the job. So this is the job for the XDR. So the XDR should take a part of the automation. XDR should take a part of such kind of the thing of doing in the SOC. And those administrators, those IT workers, I think that should do like any other like more advanced and maybe more like excuses project into their daily job. So this is one of the reason. And the second, I think really important is that like custom-made tools. So in the IT, in the OT environment, when we are like figure out, there's a lot of such tools which have to be connected like somewhere, like to the one console, maybe what you would like to get a logs. And this is not an easy task. This is not an easy task to integrate like customized API maybe with this kind of the collection. And with the intelligence thinking, with the IOC, IP addresses domain, which we are collecting, like if you don't have tools, you are doing manually. And this is also a really, I think, big change for your organization. So let's do some fun. Let's do some, not Ghostbuster, but maybe Mythbusters. So there are some myths which are like repeatable by many types of the vendors on the market. many types also by different companies, and I would like to like review it, maybe think review about it. So maybe some of them will be like busted, maybe some of them will be accepted, but the answer can be different. So there is like no good answer. So I will share with you like my thinking about those myths, and maybe you will have like a different one. Chris, will you help me?
Microphone. Wakey, wakey, thank you. XDR is a replacement of CM and SOAR.
Perfect. Really perfect. Okay, so like, what do you think? Is it like real replacement for these tools or no? Because I know that many of you have like in the couple of months or maybe years ago like implemented it, they are like satisfied. And because of like those complicated attacks, because of those attacks which are getting really, really more complex, like using a lot of the CNC, like using the a lot of the different like IOC, a lot of the different like programs, application, like accessing for a different process, accessing for a different registry key. So my thing, in my understanding, like this is plausible. So it's really possible that the XDR will be like a future, will be like a one console to replace such kind of the tool. Why is this plausible, not confirmed? Because maybe not for all organizations it will be true. Maybe like for the organization which are really proud of the SIM and SOAR and get a much more like playbook automatic itself, maybe it will be enough. Yeah, they say like XDR, like go away. And also this scenario it's possible. Myth number 2.
XDR requires using all security products from a single vendor.
Yeah, and I am representing a vendor, you may think, so this is what really like angry me the most, because there are some vendors of the markets who are like producing such kind of the myth, and for me like this is busted, so this is like not true. Because what we are doing in the Trellix, we will try to convince you that XDR should be like an open framework that you can like connect your third-party environment. So not focusing on the Trellix, not focusing on the like former McAfee, former FireEye products, but focusing on the portfolio which you have. Because whenever you will go to the customer, these are like some based security. You have a lot of the tools. So the idea is to like integrate your third-party tools, not to replace the one vendor tools.
Using XDR will increase the effectiveness of your security staff.
Yep. This is really important. Remember that I said about this rapidly changing in the IT team, in the security team, because of the board, because of the like any other circumstances. So for me, like yeah, this is confirmed, and like this is statement which is really true right now in terms of this attack which actually.
XDR requires intelligence feeds to be effective.
Yeah, and remember like the last presentation and few another workshop, like a lot of the, like on this conference organized by RUSEC, like focusing on the intelligence. Why is it so? The reason is why, like big data. There is huge amount of the data, which like small customer in like countries like in East Europe or whenever they are not able like to analyze, because there's like in case of the machine learning, there's like too much data. So for me, like XDR always requirement the intelligence. It can be like intelligence from the single vendor. It can be like intelligence from the multi-vendor.
XDR requires an endpoint.
An endpoint. And this is, I think, let's stop a little bit here, like a tricky part. If it's like required an endpoint, like you may think that for a lot of your environment, like virtual, maybe IT, said yes. Because when you saw an like example of the attacks which use some wiper, some ransomware, some phishing, they're always like focusing on the endpoint. Endpoint, it's not a like first part, because usually this attack, because of it's really cheap, like begin from the email. So it's really cheap like to register fake domain or steal the domain, buy some software, create a, for example, website which is similar to the banking account or our SharePoint site and put it into the environment. So in mostly of the case, I think that XDR requires an endpoint, because this is a really proof of information. There's a really big data like Microsoft events log, like information about the Linux kernel, like information about macOS process, like Windows process, and so on. But in my understanding, like it's not for the whole organization, because you have to like ask where are your crown jewels, where are your like data which the attackers can steal. Maybe it's not on the endpoint, and maybe the endpoint are so secure that the attackers will go through another way. So maybe the attackers will use like a third-party attacks. So use check your, for example, companies which you are like working with. So the attacks will attack this company because this is easier than attack you because you are more secure. So in most of the cases, this is confirmed.
Don't press the button. In Mythbusters, the endpoint usually means a huge explosion.
Okay, so sorry for that. Unfortunately, here endpoint means a small workstation or laptop or any other computer or maybe a server. So sorry, but in this there will be no like explosion. Okay, so the last myth.
The
myth
R
number 6.
response the R is response, really, can be completely automated.
Yeah, and whenever I am like discussing with the customer about, there's always like the big discussion. So the people are like preparing to things. Like one of the groups are saying, yeah, like automate everything. Like people will only like get to the vacation and the response actually, so the process after incident response will be automatically. But on the other side, there are some people who said like no. So there will be always like human beside. So whenever you would like to, let's give me like standard one of the step in incident response, like containment the endpoint. So cut the internet from the traffic. If it's like reliable or no, if it's like should be do it or no, but let's think on this endpoint, like who is like inside. If it's like standard, like our worker, or maybe like our CEO who is like here, maybe on the stage on the presentation and using this laptop, yeah? So in my understanding, this is like not so easy, like to automatize in the real world means that there will be no human. So in my understanding, like in the incident response also, which I done with Trellix and with the previous job, there will be always job for you. So this is the good message, because you will not lose your work. But there will be always like area to understand, to get people like involved into the case. Maybe in some cases it can be like totally automatic, for example. Yeah, when you go create a ticketing system automatic and then do some incident response based on some really simple blocking. In some way it can be like automatic, but in some way I think in the most way when you are touching like users, when you are touching like human. When you are touching like a party organization, it should be like managed by SOC manager or by some another people. Thank you, Chris, for your help.
You're welcome.
Okay, so actually when we would like to like compare it, so you see some kind of the challenges in terms of the implementation XDR, you see some kind of the challenges in terms of the like your organization, so what we expect, like what we should change, what we should do. The ideal like moment will be like consolidated like process. Process means like incident response, process means like also teams, process means that all of the people will know like what to do, and it is consolidate, means that I not have to be able like to log in into many type of the tools. And this is the second approach, like central management for the security. So real one console, not a one console means that you are, okay, logging into this, and then go to the SIM, then go to the threat intelligence, and then go to the like SOAR, because there is some playbook you should be like allowed to run. So really central management of the security. Intelligence, I say something about it. So not based only on the IOC, but also based on the like behavior of the attackers, because the like behavior of the attackers in some cases are really similar. And incident response, automatic, not fully, not without people, but automatic, and blocking the threats. Yeah, so not lose like a time of the security operations center team just to block it, and just let to know to do some playbooks. And what I expect from this schema is that like all of the things will be into one solution, but not focus in the one integration. Yeah, like take your all like third-party tools inside this this kind of the solution, like not to focus on the one vendor. Yeah, this is the standard approach to the security. So when the one layer like failed, like go to another layer, and because of this is like another layer or another vendor, so it can may like help your critical infrastructure or critical asset into the organization. So let's switch to the Trellix. So what was our journey to the XDR? So when we are like thinking about it, I realized actually, and my company, that also we were like in this market, but it was like not saying that we are on the XDR. Yeah, so our story begin from the EDR. So EDR in terms of the Trellix and formerly McAfee and FireEye, it was based as a really simple, like small agent, which was installed on the endpoint, which was installed on the server, on the incident response process. So the incident response guy from the part called Madiant go to the customer and install the software, and after that, they actually know what happens on the station. They know what process was fake, what registry key was like modified. They know actually what file was, for example, the cause of the attack, or maybe what domain, what IP addresses. So what we done actually, we transformed the EDR into like agent, which is also have what Gartner say EPP, so endpoint protection platform, so capabilities to protect from different type of the malware like exploit, rootkits, and ransomware. And we add some capabilities called Helix. So actually Helix, this is our console in the cloud, which provided this kind of the automatization, tips and tricks and some advices for the SOCs into the incident response, and a simple ticketing system. So when you like gather all of this puzzle into together, if it's like mostly XDR. And what we have to add here, this is the intelligence. So the IOC are getting from the three vendors actually. One is Trellix, means like former McAfee and FireEye, and one of it is from the Mandiant side. So right now we are like getting all of this intelligence, and we are able like to detect more and also connect not only like Trellix solution. And this is the key part which I would like to from you like to remember about this presentation. Like I think that when you compare like XDR for some traveling, like right now, many of you like travel here for this conference, it can be like journey. So it can be like journey for the very simple security, like based on the signature, based on the FR network, like firewalls, like endpoints. And then the secure like go to some operational mode to more advanced, yeah? So you add additional vendor like mobile protection. This is really important, like intelligence, maybe some integration with some threat intel vendor, or maybe some kind of the sandbox, so like isolated environment to detonate some threats, to detonate some malware. And the journey, it's not end, yeah? Like you can continue like to create a SOC like inside your organization, which is responsible for this kind of the process in some automatic and really like describe method, maybe built in like orchestration and so on. This is not end the journey, yeah? So you can like develop it into some visibility, and we are also in the Trellix and also in the SkyHigh saying about the cloud. This is also really, really important in terms of the understand the full face of the attack, like for example, to be on the edge of the environment, and to get like the email security enhanced, maybe like move it on the cloud. There's also really big like movement right now on the market, or maybe like staying on premise, but just to protect it. And as you see there, this is what I would like to also like remember, that like XDR to implementation, this is not like a one side phase of the implementation, that's all. This is some kind of the journey, like to develop the security service into the different phase, into the more advanced, just to protect more. Of course, like the ideal situation, like workplace resilience, which will be like probably not achieved by many type of the like customer, but to get some proactive hunting, like advanced forensic, like own custom SOAR playbooks is also possible, and some kind of the next step of this journey. So let's switch to one of the approach, which I said, like one console. So in Trellix, this is really one console. So if you are interested, like to see the demo, I will present it in also like tomorrow workshop. So one console means that you are able like to detect threats, you are able like to analyze all of the alerts, which are done automatically. So this is not a SIM, this is not the alert based from something. This is like something which automatically are created, describe all of the incidents into one together. As you see there, like full correlation of malware, as you see there, like correlation with your asset. Asset means like the computers or the people. This is also really important because whenever like a different type of the asset have a different type of the like risk into the organization. That is why we are able like to profile it. And also add many types of the security like based on the email, like based on the network, based on the endpoint or maybe mobile. And when you like go deep dive, what you expect from such kind of the security, this is the graphical. This is the like see what happens, not in the black screen like secret console for some administrator, but to actually do like what happens automatically. So we know that, yeah, we know like for example what are the source of the attacks, we know what are the assets which are involved, we know what are the artifacts of the attacks, and we know actually what happens in terms of the endpoint network and in terms of the, for example, mobile. So gathering all of this thing together, when our SOC people like see this diagram, they will know, okay, so I know what happens. There's a phishing, there's a download phase, we block it, we not block it, or maybe there's some kind of the exfiltration and connection with the command and control, like for example with APT21 with these IP addresses. So this is the main idea behind the XDR, like to get this automatization really like in real life. And like to get some kind of the summarize, I would like to that you can also remember like these slides, that this is not like one approach that you always should be like the best security team in the world and go to the proactive APT hunting, like for example. This is not possible. So the things which is important, like to set up the goal. So when on the screen, like with the maturity, like stop, maybe for the containment, maybe like for the threat analytics, but maybe we have a money and the time and the approach to do a real incident response. Or maybe we will buy a service on the market. So I think that this is really important, not like to be here, like on the top, to be like intelligence center, because this will be like waste of money. Just to set up the goal in the organization, set up with your boss. So when on this graph, on this curve, you will be like, your company should be like stop. And the XDR, of course, this is not the game that the XDR will be here, but the XDR will be as the implementation of automatization of this process, like in many areas. So it can be like stop into the endpoint. It can be like stop on the really simple like firewall rules just to improve, or it can be stop like proactive monitoring. Proactive means that we have some desired state and we are checking if, for example, for our branch, which are working from 9 to, for example, 10, like PM, everything is okay. Means that there is no local login, for example, at night. There is no RDP login like at night. This is like proactive because this state is like planned for our organization that we know that this branch should like avoid such kind of the connection. So I think that this is really, really important like to set up this goal. And also when you like think about XDR, this is my advice, like I am representing vendor, so let's challenge the vendor, like ask what kind of the integration they have, what kind of the architecture. Is it like open framework? So take the whole environment which you have in your security stock. It can be like really huge. Remember about the 31 different console into one organization, and ask the vendor, is it like easy to integrate? Is it like easy to get some kind of the value of this like intelligence or maybe like automatic incident response process or no? So these are like the challenging question I think you may ask the vendors. Okay? Thank you for the patience. So I have like 50 seconds. So maybe some questions.